All right. Hello, Heavy Metal Legions on YouTube. My name is Alan, and it's that time once again. Let's talk some metal. Tonight, I've got a fun topic that we're going to go over. But before I get into it, I did want to say a thank you to Marty over at the Marty Worm channel. Marty recently sent a couple of CDs my way to check out. So thank you very much for those, Marty. Marty sent over a copy of Halloween, Keeper's Legacy. This is the Keeper's Part 3 album they did later on with Andy Darris on vocals. It's one of the few Halloween albums that didn't have on CD. Marty's been kind of helping me, round out some of the later albums that I had overlooked over the years. So thank you very much for this, Marty. I'm not going to talk about it in detail here. We'll save that for another time in another video. Also, this was in the package and wasn't familiar with this at all. It's a band called Dark Deception. And this is sort of like a collection of some demo stuff by a Northeast thrash metal band, I think New York, New Jersey area. So haven't played it too many times yet, still checking it out. We'll be discussing it in a future video though. So Marty, thank you very much for sending me those. You're too kind. All right, so on to tonight's main topic. This is an idea that Rick Contreras over on the Dreadful Minutes channel recommended or suggested to me a little while back. He said, you really should talk about some of the albums that you've gotten rid of and had to rebuy over time. It's like, yes, I should just publicly shame myself for letting go of good albums and admitting I'm stupid for having to re-get them. That's a great idea. Let's do that for sure. Rick's got a good sense of humor, and I can appreciate that kind of topic. As most of you know, I do let go of a lot of albums over the years. I've probably gotten rid of somewhere between 500 and 1,000 heavy metal CDs and LPs. I'm just not somebody who collects as a completist. I don't have the room or the money for that kind of thing. And I had to relocate way too many times in the 90s and 2000s to keep lugging all of that stuff around with me. So things had to go sometimes. For the most part, I'm okay with that. The vast majority of things I let go of, I have never really seriously wanted back. They were either albums that I just didn't like. I got them cheap, but they weren't in good condition. Played them for a few times. I was like, yeah, whatever. Let's go ahead and give this to somebody else or trade it in for some credit. So yeah, for 5 to 99% of the albums I've let go, I'm fine with that. I've never tried to track them back down. In more recent years, I usually have tried to save at least a digital copy. If it's a CD or vinyl, I'll rip it to MP3s and keep it just in case I do want to revisit a song or two here or there. But that didn't always have the capability to do that. And there are some things, even if I saved a digital copy, that later on you start feeling like, man, probably should have kept that one at least. And so you got to start hunting them back down. And so tonight we'll look at a few examples of things that I owned and later had to re-own, because we all make mistakes in life sometimes. Sometimes we sell or trade away things that we shouldn't. Happens to everybody in all kinds of collectibles. If you do it long enough and you're letting some things leave your collection, you're eventually going to let go of something that later on you'll regret a little bit. All right, let's start with a pair of classics. I've owned these, I think, 3 separate times. So yeah, there's a story to that. Talking about these 2 Testament albums, Practice What You Preach and Souls of Black, right? Not always most people's favorite Testament albums. I love Practice What You Preach. It's arguably my favorite, which is a little bit of a hot take, but we'll save that for another night. I also really like Souls of Black. These were the 2 Testament albums I heard the most, back in high school. It took me a long time to track down the New Order and the Legacy. So by the time I had heard them, I'd kind of gotten over my initial excitement about Testament. And so they didn't click quite as hard as these 2 did. But again, I'm not doing a Testament deep dive tonight. So what's the deal with these? Well, originally I had them all on cassette tapes, because back then that's all I got were cassette tapes. I didn't pick up buying CDs. I didn't even own a CD player until I believe it was I got my first CD player for Christmas of 92. So the very end of 1992. So before that, I had gotten vinyl and cassettes exclusively. I only had 1 or 2 CDs before I got the CD player. So once I had a CD player, yes, the tapes started getting replaced with CDs, and I ended up getting used copies of these on disc. But then at some point, facing another relocation and having to box up hundreds upon hundreds of CDs, I realized, some of these don't get played very often. Do I really need these 2 Testament albums? Let's just, let's let those go. I can, maybe I don't need those after all. And then later I realized, maybe I probably do need those after all. So these have been picked back up. Fortunately, not hard albums to find. Again, in both cases, local used stores had them for $5.99 and $5.75. And these are the kinds of things I'm not necessarily out there jonesing like, oh man, I gotta have a copy of Souls of Black again. Somebody help me out here. But when I stumble across it in a used bookstore and it's $5.99, yes, you may have $5.99 plus tax, and I will put that back on the shelf where it probably should have stayed the whole time. No problem making those kind of repurchases whatsoever. So yes, the Testament shelf is closer to full once again. Okay, second pick for tonight, going in more of a sort of traditional power metal direction, is Crimson Glory's Transcendence. This is one I picked up used on vinyl years and years ago, and good album. I like the band quite a bit. The deal with this one was always that I prefer the self-titled album over this one. And again, I know that's not the most popular opinion. Most people really gush about this one and don't seem as keen on the self-titled, or maybe have never checked it out. I just think song for song, the self-titled is a little bit stronger. This one is a good listen, lots of fun stuff on it, but I'll take the self-titled over at any given time. And so again, when looking at thinning out the shells a bit, it's like, I always reach for the self-titled. I rarely reach for Transcendence. Some stuff's got to go. I need to pick 50 or 100 of these albums I need 1 box less. Something's got to go. Transcendence, I haven't played you in forever. You can go away now. And later I was like, that probably was a poor choice. Come back, Transcendence, come back. And she came flying back in her weird astral space shuttle pod glider thing. I've never fully gotten what's going on with this cover. Gorgeous cover art, but yeah, kind of weird, whatever it is, but cool. It's a weird but cool band and a weird but cool album. And so it is back in the collection after a prolonged absence. All right, number 3 on the list. People are going to have fun with this one. Sometimes we do things we just shouldn't do, and we can't always explain them. For example, why do kids eat worms? I don't know. Seems like a horrible idea, but kids do it. Why did Ellen get rid of Sacramentum far away from not far away from the sun, the coming of chaos? I don't know, but he did, and it was a stupid thing to do. Sacramentum, excellent Swedish band. They're, in that, Black and Death or Deathly Black, kind of straddle the border between those genres. I tend to think of them as black metal. Other folks tend to classify them as death metal. That's fine. I don't care. The bottom line is Sacramentum's an awesome band. Love the first 2 albums in particular. It's been a long time since I heard the third one. I remember I wasn't as keen on that, but I only ever owned a cheap cardboard promo of that album in the first place. But yeah, the Coming of Chaos was one that I had bought in Camelot Records back in the day. So yes, you could actually go to shopping malls and find Sacramentum albums new in the Rex once upon a time. And at some point, when I thinned out the black metal shelves, I was smart enough to keep my original copy of Far Away from the Sun. I wasn't smart enough to keep this one too. So womp womp, that disappeared for a while. And then when I got, back on a black metal kick, it's like, yeah, let's play some more Sacramentum. Where's my copy of, oh, fuck. DISCOGS.com, enter. How much is this going to cost me? Damn. but I did manage to pick it back up. Not a smart choice. Not a smart choice. I can't really justify that one whatsoever. There was something else on that shelf I could have gotten rid of instead of the Coming of Chaos, and I probably would have been fine with it. Wouldn't have even thought about it since then. We all make choices. Sometimes we make bad choices. I don't know what else to say about that one. I'm sorry. My True Metal street cred score takes a hit. All right, one more for tonight. We'll wrap it up with a little old school metal. Tyrant's Too Late to Pray. This is another one I had on vinyl back in the day. I bought it used, probably at a store in Texas where I got a lot of this kind of stuff at. Good album. This was one, though, that sometimes I would play it and really like it. And other times I would play it, and it would just kind of go in one ear and out the other. So it's kind of very uneven. It's like, not bad, not great. Not bad, not great. So it kind of waffled back and forth on the album a lot. And again, at some point, trying to clear out a little bit of the vinyl, it's just like, this album's just like a yo-yo. Half the time when I play it, it doesn't really strike a chord with me. So let's move it along. We can get a decent trade for it or something. I don't remember exactly where that copy went either. But it is a good album. Both their first two albums are quite good. Haven't heard their more recent ones. Folks have been recommending that I at least check out the one that Rob Lowe did vocals on, which I'm going to get around to. Maybe I have by the time this video gets posted. We'll see. But yeah, the Tyrant ones have been reissued, so they're not hard to pick up. This is a Shadow Kingdom Records reissue of the album. And it is a very solid, early Metal Blade kind of release. Yeah. Does it reinvent the wheel in any way? No. But is it a very fun listen? Yeah. At the end of the day, it gets a thumbs up. Glad to put it back on the shelf. Yeah, a little bit of a bummer that I didn't keep the old original vinyl one, but as I've explained, sometimes you got to let a few things go. The Tyrant ones I only had the first one back in the day. I've picked up both these reissues on CD. So Tyrant, the house is back in order, even though for a while that one had to be absent. Okay, so those are the only ones I've got to show tonight. There are others in the collection for sure that did have a noticeable absence from the collection. So maybe we'll revisit this another time and look at a few more of Alan's missteps and faux pas. Because, hey, it's always fun seeing when other people screw up, right? Indeed. But now let's talk metal in the comments down below, and you tell me when you screwed up. Because if you've ever gotten rid of some of your albums, there's at least one that you shouldn't have, that you went back, you snuck into the UCD store wearing a hat pulled down and dark glasses, collar flipped up, hoping nobody would see that. You have to rebuy. How don't you own that? You owned that. Oh, you got rid of it. Now you're having to rebuy it. -5 points to your True Metal cred score as well. So yeah, what are some of the albums that you really had the seller's remorse for and had to go track back down at a later date? Post a comment down below, and it'll be cathartic, and we'll have a group therapy session, and we'll all feel better about some of the mistakes that we made along the way of our heavy metal journey. But until then, let's wrap this video on up. So everybody take care. Think twice before letting anything out of your collection. And as always, keep banging your head.